Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 353 of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Goodnight Mommy, a movie about the horrors of the Red Cross. They are home invaders, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First up, joining me here tonight, he builds bloodygoodhorror.com with his magical beaver hands, and he wears the most sensitive of shirts. His name is Mark.
Hi.
It's really not the shirt, it's just the you imbue sensitivity onto it.
So wouldn't that be every week I'm wearing a
I
sensitive
implore
shirt?
anyone watching the video to back me up on this. Anyway, next up on the show, he likes to drink beer. He writes about it occasionally at Bloody Good Horror. He talks about it all the time. His name is Joe.
Hallo, meine Freunde. Willkommen
cool.
aus dem Podcast.
Joe knows German, you guys, and I don't just mean that accent. He actually knows some German.
I am not convinced that he does actually know German. I just
Absolutely
I
not.
was just gonna
Total
say
bullshit.
Ryan Heinzgeboot. How did you... We were translating over email today, though. How'd you know that?
Oh, I just Google Translate.
strangely enough, the only German word I know is Schmetterling, which is butterfly, which is relevant to the conversation that no one heard us talking about before the podcast.
Cool story.
I did spend 3 weeks in Germany in high school with like a host family. And on day one, my host, Bruder, said, we all know English here, so you don't have to bother speaking German.
You don't have to embarrass yourself.
Quit trying.
Yeah.
Speaking of trying, I don't know what that means, but next up on the show...
Oh, great.
Founding member, let's call him, of BGH The New Class, also current Boston resident, and delightful brunch date, which I can now say for realsies. His name is Evan.
Hey, thanks
Evan,
for having me.
we can talk about our brunch date in a little bit here.
Yeah.
But last up tonight, first time ever joining us on Bloody Good Horror, please welcome Spencer to the show.
Hey.
How's it going, Spencer?
Going pretty good.
Spencer, where are you coming from tonight, and is it a place that I could find some way to make fun of?
It's North Carolina, so
Kakalaki,
answer that
okay.
question for
All right.
yourself.
Take your shirt
Chapel
off.
Hill, yeah.
Spin it around your head just like a helicopter.
Listen, Joe's already got a song. We are set. Nice work. Spencer, you've been writing first for a little while now. Is that right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
How long? Probably longer than I realized.
Yeah, since April or May.
Oh, okay. Sweet. Never mind.
Eric just woke up from his 5-year sleep, so...
2013.
Somebody I feel
Yeah.
like it was Evan when we were hanging out. Was like, yeah, I've been writing for you guys for like a year, and I was like, wait, really?
No, longer than a year.
Exactly. That's my point. That's my
Like
point.
3 years, man.
I already fucking forgot.
Well, Spencer, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hopefully,
yeah, glad to be here.
we'll do our best to be gentle with you
I
tonight.
think also Spencer's the only person who hasn't gone out on a date with Evan that's on the show currently.
It's true.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
East
Yeah.
Coast.
That's right.
Yeah, Evan and I actually met up on Halloween with my lovely wife in the city of Boston and had fancy brunch.
We did, and Eric paid for me, just so everybody knows.
What? Yeah.
was
I do nice things every once in a while.
Eric,
What?
when's the last time you paid for one of my meals?
Let's not get into it.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yes, it was very fun. Hey, Mark,
Yeah.
I would like you to know, just to kind of give you an idea of where my mind's at tonight, Schnarrs is gone.
Oh boy.
I was running late for the show tonight, but I made sure to take 5 minutes so that I could print screen and Photoshop this mustache picture of him off of Instagram for the video.
Perfect.
And it's there now. So
It's really good. It's really good. It's,
yeah, I don't know that I love his facial expression. It's a little unsettling.
I think, you know, the funny thing is, like, if you didn't watch the shows that he was on, like, if you haven't seen these videos, we only post videos of him with a mustache, and he doesn't always have a mustache.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I think it's the Movember. I think he's doing that for work.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it's a little topical because we're doing this, Austrian movie, and he's looking a little from the motherland in this photo, I would say.
Is this movie Austrian or is it German?
I was yelled at by someone on Twitter and told it was Austrian when I said it was. Now, for the record, I was saying that it was French, so he was at least trying to steer me in the right direction.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
For the record, he said it was Australian, which was totally different.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are the koalas?
Right. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on, Bloody Good Horror.
Holy shit, so much internet. So we are out of the, kind of craziness of the Halloween season, but we're still firing on all cylinders at BGH. We're trying out some new stuff. We still have reviews every day, but we're also doing reviews of Cece's doing American Horror Story Hotel. Sophie is doing Ash versus Evil Dead. And Evan has done some Scream Queens reviews, so we're trying out our There's he's a little behind, but he's been working it.
I'm working on it.
Evan, welcome to the thing where we shame people on the show to make sure that
I know,
work.
it's fine. Go ahead. I deserve it. I deserve it.
That means you're in. But so we, it's a thing we've tried out. A lot of people ask us to do kind of shows on horror shows, which it just doesn't really work out so well. So we're trying to get him back into the site. Also, hopefully reaching out to some new reviewers too to add to the fold, new writers and reviewers. So keep an eye out for that. We're also going to start picking up with lists again. And as always, we're adding stuff to the app. So if you haven't been to the app yet, it's killer-flicks with an X.com. And it uses all of our reviews and podcasts to kind of give you horror movie recommendations based on something you're in the mood for. So if you're, if you want to watch something and, the recommendations for, say, Netflix or something aren't doing it for you, you can come get curated recommendations from us from like 8 years worth of reviews.
And it's way cooler than that other app that launched like a week after ours. That's not nearly as good.
Yeah. Fucking kill that person.
Hey, man, listen, we got out there first. I saw a social network. That's all that matters.
Oh.
Yeah. Sure. But
Harvard.edu.
Yeah. So we launched it right before Halloween. Development is kind of slowed on it a little bit, but we're going to pick back up. And also I'm going to prioritize some improvements to the website for the end of the year so that you can get to our kind of lists. We're always posting trailers and our TV stuff quicker right now. It's, the site's basically made to get you towards reviews and podcast episodes, which is great. But towards the end of the year, you'll start to see more of the other stuff we're trying out, kind of finding its way on the front page. So that's what we've got going on.
Cool. Well, the other thing we have going on that we've been talking about a lot lately is our Patreon campaign. This is a campaign basically where you go to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror and you make a monthly pledge to Bloody Good Horror, and in exchange you get all kinds of cool stuff. One of the levels, you get access to every single classic. I believe, well, one level you get all of them, right? Back to like 1 and whatever.
At the $6 and up level.
So I decided this week that I would test drive this patron experience a little bit, and I downloaded the app. I had Schnars angrily walk me through it. And so I was like perusing around some like Bloody Good Horror back episodes, which... we can talk about later, I guess. I just kind of want to tease it because we got some Ask BGHs. But Mark, we had somebody tweeted at you today about an amazing Kreskin-like prediction that you made.
Yeah, totally. So I have no memory of this, so I actually had to go back and verify it. But it was Chase TX on Twitter, listening to episode 5, and Mark BGH predicted the Burton/Depp remake of Alice in Wonderland 3 years beforehand.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So did you listen?
I did. And what happened was that it was for those of you who have joined at the $10 and up level that hear old episodes, it took us a while to get settled into the format. We used to really focus on talking about like upcoming horror movies and news instead of just like fucking around and being idiots for the first 15 or so minutes.
We tried to be, well, it makes sense in the beginning before you really find your footing. You have to kind of like try to regiment it a little bit.
Very humorless. We were still trying to convince people that we actually knew what we were talking about. But the one of the news items that we were talking about was American McGee's Alice, which was a video game that was like a dark version of Alice in Wonderland, was being made into a movie. And I said, well, at least Tim Burton's not directing it. And then I mentioned that Johnny Depp should play Alice. And so that's kind of where that came from. And yeah, that was that must have been 2007, and I'm not sure when Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton movie came out, but Kind of funny. I went back and listened to that episode. Like I would say it was not as embarrassing as I thought it was going to be. Although we bring a little more energy to the table now than we used to.
Well, myself for certain. Like that was the biggest thing. We went back. I listened to the Antichrist episode, and I was like pretty okay with the conversation. I actually came out thinking like, oh, all right, that wasn't that bad. But the other parts, the banter parts, and it's probably stuff that people, I don't know if you would necessarily notice it, but I just sounded, and we're all just a little dry in the like movie talking parts. I don't know. It's interesting. Also,
we do
Joe
all talk over Casey a lot still, so that hasn't changed in 8 years.
Joe,
There's got to be one consistent.
Joe was so nice in the beginning. It took me off guard until the end of the Antichrist episode when he said, if you really like this movie, you probably have dead bodies in your basement. I was like, there he is. There he is.
He's a
That's
murderer.
not wrong.
That Antichrist episode was a real spicy meatball, if only to hear us like try to talk about what happened in the movie.
But so like once now that we've opened up the floodgates to sort of allow a larger group of people to hear all these episodes, and I'm listening to them, and it's just really occurring to me how we have said so many things in 7 years that we could never ever possibly remember, and it's this really surreal thing. And now you've got people coming through it, and people are hitting us up on Twitter. So we want to encourage you to use the hashtag BGH Classics when you're giving us these thoughts on old episodes, and if anything dumb or funny we say, tweet it at us so that we can kind of bring it back up in the show, because it's all just friggin' weird, man. It's weird stuff.
Definitely a lot of words.
Yeah, lots of words,
So
and
many
we did not
words.
think about them very much before we said them back in the day.
Yeah.
So
We all still have jobs, so
yeah,
other than
that's
that,
true.
but-
That's true. Hashtag BGH Classics for that. And in general, you want to check out Patreon and also find out how you can be streaming us live right now. We have a bunch of people watching the stream right now as we speak.
At what
Recording.
level do we get the commemorative tote bag? I'm curious.
There's no tote bag.
No.
At the $400 a month level, you do get one of those cool little rubber change coin purse things.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, just kidding. There's no $400 a month level. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Is that it, Mark?
Yep.
I gotta say, I highly recommend. It's, the post-Halloween doldrums right now. We're in November. I don't even know where Schnars is. Things could not be worse, Mark. But you're really bringing it home at bloodygoodhorror.com. So if people would like to get their horrorness, get out of those November blues, check out bloodygoodhorror.com.
Yeah, there.
That's my elevator pitch.
That's right.
Always
And we have
involves
some tweet with BGH things to talk about if Evan or Spencer wants to.
Yeah, Evan, go ahead. Why don't you give us the skinny here on tweet with
Yeah,
BGH?
so last Friday we did Scream 3 because we're going through the Scream franchise, and Spencer did an awesome recap that got posted earlier this week. So if you didn't get a chance to go along with us, it's fun that you can kind of follow along later in the week. But this Friday we're doing Scream 4, and do we decide on a time, like 9:30 or something?
I think let's try 9:30. Yeah.
We're all kind of busier that night, so we're gonna do like a late night 9:30, pass out before bed kind of dealio. So we'll do Scream 4 on Netflix at 9:30. Tweet with BGH. Should be a good time.
I'm
And-
not 100% sure it's on Netflix.
Oh.
Should
No.
I think it stops at 3.
Oh, well.
Well,
you know
guys
what?
may have to
You should
reconsider
just
then.
buy it. Well, you should just buy it 'cause it's good. That's all I'll say.
Scream 4 is awesome. I love
It is
Scream
good,
4.
and I do own it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
That
same.
helps.
I was
anyone.
pissed
Yeah,
because
it's unavailable to stream.
I the night you guys did Scream 2, I actually had a chunk of free time right when you were doing it, and I was gonna hop on and do it, and then I didn't remember until I saw the recap episode or post or whatever on the site.
It's a shame.
Which even if you can't make the actual live tweeting, the posts on the site are actually really entertaining. So
Are you going to do it on Friday?
sure, yeah, I'll be here. Yeah,
That
All right,
sounds like a
perfect.
send me
Sounds like a thrill.
send me one of those SMS text messages all the kids are
I'll
doing.
shoot you a text message to
Yeah.
remind you.
Cool.
But you might be asleep. It's at 9:30.
Hit me up on AIM. If I have an away message, that's fine. Leave a message anyway.
All right, perfect.
Joe,
Yeah,
you the beer guy at Bloody Good Horror? Is that
sure
right?
am.
Do I have that correct?
Yeah, why not?
What are we drinking tonight while we review Goodnight Mommy?
So, I don't know. I thought this movie was German. It turns out it's Austrian. But
I mean,
But the language they speak in here is apparently Austrian German, whatever the hell that means.
It's
I assume
apples to apples, really.
yeah, just a different dialect. So I picked a beer from the good folks here in Illinois, and I'm drawing a blank on the town, but I'll look that up. But this is Two Brothers Brewing, and this is their Warrenville, Illinois. And in honor of Das Film, I picked a beer from them called their Abel's Weiss beer.
Ooh.
Which in
They
German,
probably say that word in Austria, I'm gonna guess.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean I think they speak German in Austria, right? Like,
Sure.
am I completely
Yeah.
off? But anyway, so this beer kind of matches for two reasons. One, the film is about a pair of twins who suspect their mother is not who she seems. So Two Brothers Brewing obviously makes sense there. And Abel Weiss, it's a German style wheat ale, which, you know, maybe not the best for this time of year, but I actually enjoy a good Weiss beer year round. I always say that I think Hefeweizens are really good for, you know, people who don't think they actually like beer. And, you know, they kind of have a different flavor from what you normally get. A lot of clove, sort of like a banana flavor, a little bit of vanilla. This one I think is really sort of smooth and refreshing. A lot of people put like an orange slice in the beer, which I advise against, like, because I think these beers kind of have that citrus flavor already.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I've read a lot, and it comes out to be like really kind of snooty sounding, but like, if the brewer wanted you to have that sort of orange flavor in there, like, they would have put orange in there. So
it does kind of sound a little snooty, but I like it.
yeah, I mean, I would just say, you know, if you like it, sure, but give it a go before you just drop a slice of orange in there. But anywho, this beer is super good. Everything that Two Brothers puts out is really good. Comes in about 5% alcohol, so not super high. And twobrothersbrewing.com is their website, and I suggest all their beers if you can get your hands on them. So
I do like things that are super good.
yeah.
Yeah.
These guys distribute pretty far, so I think you should be able to find this one pretty readily throughout the U.S.
Pretty much my entire entire body of knowledge about Austria goes from like 1914 to 1921, like World War I, and then it just skips Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
With nothing in between before or after. So
that's probably more than a lot of people. Probably just starts with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I read a book once about World War I. So, you know, no big deal. All right, guys, we actually lost Mark. Mark is having a little bit of a life emergency. Everything is fine. No worries. But feel free to harass him on Twitter. So we're just going to cowboy this shit and keep it going. So, guys, let's take a quick break so that we can review Goodnight Mommy.
What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Hello, this is Jeremy Gardner. I'm the writer, director, star of The Battery, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Joe. It's time for you to step up, buddy. This is the Joe Show now. You're muted, so that's not really helping your case.
Oh, shit. I think I was supposed to be muted before, and then I didn't. No, whatever.
No, you did it.
Killing it, Joe. You are just killing it right now. Speaking of, Schnars isn't here. We decided, with no real evidence, that you know how to speak German earlier. So we decided we're going to do a word of the day. So please stand by for that. All right, Joe, what do you got for us today?
Yup. Well, I got a German word, and that word is Bildungsroman.
Yes.
I am probably pronouncing wrong, but
I love it.
It is actually a sort of a novel style, which is a coming of age story for the young kinders. It actually is German in origin. The Wikipedias actually say how to pronounce the German version, and it's literally like upside down horseshoes, and like there's like an R with like a thing shooting off.
Looks
of
like
it,
Lucky Charms.
Things I've never seen before. I'm pretty sure if you say it out loud, the devil comes into your house.
That's what I've heard.
Don't say it backwards, definitely.
Yeah, but Bildungsroman apparently is a fairly common English word now as well. But I don't know. What else am I supposed to say about this? But this story kind of shows these kids starting from, they're still young, but they grow up pretty quickly when they start to suspect their mother of wrongdoings.
As you do, sure.
Yeah. So.
Sure. All right, I'll accept that, Joe.
Yeah, why not?
Nice work. Evan, in Mark's stead, how about you tell us what this movie's about?
I would love to. Absolutely. So the film is called Goodnight Mommy, and we've established that it is in Germany, Austria. I don't know. Austria. It's in Austria. And it's about two young brothers that are twins, and they had their mom recently go through surgery that has changed her appearance slightly. And we know this because she is wearing a heavily bandaged face.
A horrifying hospital mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so basically they live in this house that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and a very beautiful house, very Austrian, very beautiful. And from the beginning, we kind of can tell that there's a problem with one of the brothers because he doesn't completely believe that this woman is their mother. And so we get scenes of them kind of debating on whether or not this is her, and her being angry with them due to various reasons.
And she's kind of doing weird shit, like just pulling blinds up and down and stuff. And
yeah, there are
just generally being a creeper.
Yeah, in the boys' room they have a like a tank full of bugs, and
the most horrifying cockroaches I've ever seen.
Yeah, like the biggest things ever that apparently are allowed to stay in the house. And at one point they find a cat that they bring home to live with them. And all the while she is trying to recover while also ordering pizzas and things like that.
So many pizzas. And so basically the story is kind of like, you just kind of get these glimpses as to why there's problems between the kids and her. And then by the end, we come to a conclusion as to what they believe their mother is doing, who she is, and whether or not she is their mother.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything.
This has been a pretty big hit on the festival scene, and I think we will end up spoiling at some point later on, though. We'll try to kind of save it for now. Yeah. But enter at your own risk, I think, is generally a pretty good recommendation with these shows. Joe.
Yes, sir.
Joe, we like to joke on this show that you don't like subtitles, but I know that's not true.
I want to say it was, if we're talking about old episodes, our Hour of the Wolf episode.
Pretty much any time we've ever made you watch subtitles, it was a joke.
But really, that film, I think, kind of changed my, I'm all right with it now. I don't mind the reading. I assume you're looking for my opinion on
Yes,
this.
What did you think of this, Joe?
So, I think we had been talking about this for a while, and the build-up or hype around it was pretty high. But that being said, like, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anything about this, and I purposely tried to avoid even like the IMDb page before we watched it. So going in, I didn't know what was even what I was looking at here. It's a pretty strange little film. Like it takes a long time to kind of get where it's going. And when it does, it kind of, again, it's going to be hard to talk about this without spoiling, but it gets into some territories which I am not a huge fan of in movies, but that's totally like a personal opinion. Like, I think it's beautifully shot. Like, it looks really good. I think the story itself is really interesting. There is kind of like you know, the sort of story that's uh like, you know, some things that happen in the end which are a little bit of a surprise, and again, I'm really trying not to spoil, but
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
get to it.
it's weird because I usually don't pick up on those things, and I picked up on this really quickly, so I'm still not, we talked about it over email too, I'm still not sure if that was intentional or they were trying to keep it kind of vague.
I've basically seen two camps online. The camp that I'm in, which is I didn't see shit coming, and then
Yeah.
the camp that some other people are in, where they're like saw it from pretty early on, and then they're within that camp. There's varying levels of like internet asshole
Yeah.
who are like, oh, what have you never seen a movie before? Because everybody, the signs were there, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I think
It's my mouth. It's my internet
now,
mouth breathing impression.
now that you've
I
called
like
that
it.
camp assholes, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump into it, but I think if you
As long as
don't-
you are not calling me an idiot for not
No.
seeing it, then we'll be okay, Joe.
But I think if you've watched a lot of horror movies, you kind of look out for these things, and it kind of, and again, like I've missed it 100 times, but for whatever reason, like this time, it just kind of popped into my head immediately.
It's just a weird movie, though. So, like, nothing in the narrative really is like anything you've ever seen. So I wasn't
Exactly.
automatically thinking of other movies, you know?
Well, even, you know, one, like I suspected it, but up until the very end, I still wasn't sure if, you know, what I was thinking was real or not.
Yeah.
So
Evan, are you real?
I am real.
Are you sure?
Let me check.
What'd you think of this movie?
So yeah, like kind of like what Joe said, I saw this the first time like maybe a month and a half ago because it was at the small theater near me, and I had just heard it was awesome, and I tried not to watch like any trailers or anything like that about it. So I went in not knowing anything other than the title. I didn't even see the poster until I got to the theater. I assumed it had to do with children because of the title and everything. But yeah, I thought it was pretty sweet. You know, not going into spoilers or anything like that, but to back you up, Eric, I definitely didn't see the ending coming really at all. I was very much focused on one aspect of the story.
I psyched myself out. I was way like because I kind of had semi been spoiled that there was something coming, so I was out foxing myself basically.
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
down some weird road that had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'll say too, like, I don't want this to sound like the horror, you know, kind of douchebag internet guy, but I will say that in compliment of the movie, that the director had a really good way of showing that he was in control of the whole thing. That I felt like something was going to be a twisty kind of, you know, climax, but I'm not saying that to be like, oh, it's obvious. It was just a compliment to.
Well, he's so deliberate
was.
in everything he does. Like
Right.
it's one of those movies, and we can kind of talk more in a bit, but it's like every image is intentional. So when
Yeah.
you notice that right away in the movie, you're like, okay, well then he's gonna take me to a very specific spot, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it made it fun because it was like, okay, what is this going to mean? Or, you know, this is kind of out there, but I feel like it's going to tie in to this pretty simple story. And so I was very much invested the whole time. And I mean, whether or not, you know, the movie has stuff that's easy to watch, I at least was interested the entire time, and I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing.
It's pretty like I don't know. Some people may not agree, but it's kind of hardcore. It's more hardcore
is.
than anything we've done for the show in a while. I think.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
for sure. And I think you don't. And again, like I'm really struggling here, but like I did not expect it to kind of take some of the turns that it did.
Gets weird. It's a
which I
little
think
weird.
makes it even a little more shocking.
Sure.
Spencer, what did you think of this movie?
Yeah, I really liked it. I've kind of just been nodding along the whole time, so I guess that's just a special treat for the Patreon viewers. I liked it a lot. I want to be careful not to spoil things. I hadn't seen the trailer. I had read the James Franco column, which I advise people not to do. But even sort of suspecting, I think I have to give the director a lot of credit, because even when I suspected things early on, I second guessed myself. Like about halfway through, I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I misunderstood.
I mean, the movie is playing a little rope-a-dope with you the whole
Yeah.
time, right? Like it
Well, and
wants
it's-
you to go different ways.
And it's very I can't think of any other movie that was so ambiguous that there were times when I didn't know who or what exactly to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. I loved the imagery. I liked that it, like you talked about, there were a lot of carefully set up shots, but they didn't seem like Wes Anderson-y, you know, like they were still kind of loose. I really liked it a lot.
Cool. Yeah. I also like this movie. I have not complaints. I just it's very a lot of it is very ambiguous. To be fair, I think sometimes when you are going through subtitles, it's easy to miss things, like because you're not really watching body language the way you should be. So there may have been a little bit of that. I don't know, I might have been a little distracted.
It's also hard to
Whatever.
pick up on like tone of like things
Yeah,
that are being
well,
saying.
Yeah.
right. I mean, everything in German just sounds so harsh anyway.
Yeah.
It's just like, do they love each other?
I
don't-
love you very much, Mutter. You're a very sweet and loving, compassionate mother.
Oh god.
Right. So I've been having this debate whether like it's so left so ambiguous even in the end. I'm having this debate if is it too much so? Like, did they leave it too ambiguous, or am I just a stupid American who needs everything like? Have I seen too much theatrical horror lately in the U.S. where I just can't take something like this anymore? And I think if you go back to shows, if a movie does it right, I'm generally okay with an ambiguous ending. But something about this made me feel like it's like a very effluvial. It's just like airy and kind of like nothing is too cohesive. And then at the end, it's just like a fart in the wind. It just kind of ends and blows away. So I'm not totally sure how I feel about that, if I'm being honest. The other interesting thing that the movie does is the promotion. Like the trailer sets it up almost like a slasher movie with this creepy mom. And then when you watch the movie, you realize what they actually did was they pulled out these little snippets of moments where the mom was looking creepy and turned that into the entire trailer. The trailer almost has nothing to do with the movie in a weird way. And I go back and forth. It's kind of genius, and it's a way you wouldn't see an American film marketed, because the American film would give you every single beat in the trailer. But, you know, like we have some feedback later about somebody who was really pissed about it and felt like it did the film a disservice because they were kind of expecting one thing and got another.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch the trailer until this afternoon after I'd seen the movie, and I wish I'd seen it before I'd seen the movie because, and again, I don't want to get into too much spoiler territory, I think it would have pushed me in a direction that I would have wanted to be in terms of calling things and yeah, in terms of suspicions and kind of interpreting a lot of the ambiguity.
Well, I think we should probably just jump into spoilers here. I mean,
I think we need to.
Well, no, but I like generally though. I think we're all pretty thumbs up on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I would honestly recommend if you haven't seen this yet and you're like, it's looking like something you want to see, like just turn us off, skip to like an hour or so in. That's usually when we're done with the review. Listen, man, gotta live your own life, but that's my recommendation. Okay, Evan?
Okay, you got it.
Don't judge me. All right,
I'm
so
not.
we're gonna pop the old spoiler alert graphic into here.
Boom.
I'm gonna put it right under hair schnars.
Ersnars.
That's right.
Hello, meine friends. We're having
Spoilers!
spoilers now.
Spoiler alert: Schnars rocks the hell out of a mustache.
Yeah, he does.
So basically, what happens in this film is, as you start to go along, I would say like the second act, it goes from just the mom being creepy to realizing there's something weird with the kids going on too. It's not third act. It's not right away. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, and that slowly snowballs to the point where they're basically playing a game with you. Every other scene sends you in a different direction, and you don't know who the mom is. You don't know if the kids did something really messed up at some point. Like, because it seems like there's an unspoken thing, and you really kind of find out there is. You don't really find out what it is, but definitely something has happened that has affected this family, and you don't know whose fault it was, I guess is a good way to put it. And at the end of the day, you don't even know if the mom is the mom. So there could be any number of insane things. This literally could have been like an alien abduction movie, for all I knew, by the time it was over. And so really by the end, I don't know, Evan, do you want to kind of walk us through the end?
Yeah, so
Then we can just kind of lay it out and talk about it.
So basically, like the big thing that happens that really sets the ball rolling into the very end of the movie is that they managed to get the mom tied down.
There's this great game of cat and mouse for like a few scenes where literally the boys have locked themselves in their room and they're like eating like raw hot dogs and they're just pissing in jars and like it's weird. It literally becomes like a battle, like a war at some point.
Like,
I
at one
thought they
point
had.
she- She puts them in like house arrest. She even says like, "What the hell do? They do something."
But at some
wrong.
point, they're not letting her in the room.
Yeah, because they like blockade the door.
Yeah. So she
So
locks
maybe it
them
just
up,
turns
but then
into
they
that.
do not want to get out. Like,
Isn't it after the cat thing that she does that?
Yes, exactly. They accuse her of like killing this cat that they found, and then they put it like in a fish tank full of water. Like, fucking German stuff. They just do German stuff. Like,
They displayed it in the room like an artifact.
Yeah,
Look
it's like
at
on the
mine.
coffee table.
Look
Look,
at mine,
Mom.
cat, mother.
Kitty. Yeah.
Deine cat is kaputt, Mutter. We put it in the fish tank.
So yeah, she's tied down, and then
So right, it escalates to this point where they have her, they Gulliver's Travel her basically and tie her down to the bed.
The worst Gulliver's
I'm sure they
Travel
pulled
remix.
it from Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah, and shit gets real weird.
It gets real weird. There's an awesome scene with Red Cross.
Yeah, all right,
whatever.
sorry. Listen,
people.
I'm
We
trying
gotta
to.
talk about it.
All right, so they've got her tied up to the bed. They're not feeding her. She's basically pissing herself. It's really disgusting.
And she like poops.
She's
her pants.
literally, yeah.
They super glue her lips together at one point. It's really horrific.
So we're kind of jumping around though. Like the reason they tie her up is they're convinced that that's not really her mother,
Right.
And they tie her up, and they pretty much what they want her to do is
trying
like admit where their real mother is.
They're waterboarding her basically. They're not doing that, but they're trying to get information. They're like Jack Bowering her. Let's say.
right.
They're sticking the thumb in the bullet wound there. In the middle of this, they got her tied up, and the Red Cross knocks on the door. They're looking for donations, and it's just like two old, kind of dumpy-looking Austrian people, and they're just like, they literally, they could not have cast two people that said more like ineffectual government worker. And I know the Red Cross isn't the government, but that's what it kind of felt like. So the kids, they ring the doorbell and nobody answers, and they just saunter on into the house.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, cool, it's unlocked, bro. Let's just walk in because it's Austria and this is what we do." And they just walk in, and then the kids run into them and basically have to distract them. You know what I mean? So there's just tense, but also really awkward 10-minute scene where they're just sitting at the table waiting for the parents, and the mother's upstairs trying to like tear her lips apart without her hands so that she can scream. But they just walk into that's the weirdest thing in the movie to me. They just walk right into the house.
Well, and I love that they like offer them the money too, and they're like, "Oh, okay," like
We don't usually take money from Kinder, but this time we
mother
will.
wants to give them money.
But there's this little rich jab too, where they're like, "Well, look at this house. They have a lot of money. They can afford it," because they're not sure if it's okay to like take the money from the kid.
Let's take their money. Go.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's the ultimate reveal here? And so we can get into it.
The ultimate reveal. So we learn that this is the mother, and that there is only one son because the other twin had been killed.
Twist.
What? And he had been imagining this ghost-like brother had been whispering sweet, nothing negative, killing things. In
Right.
his
You
ear.
then realize like, okay, that's the one who's been pulling the strings the whole time. It was basically his little hallucination.
Right. So they pour gasoline everywhere, and they light the house on fire.
Like you do.
And we watched in a very long extended scene of the mother burning alive.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, I mean, I guess I was a little confused by this, but essentially, like, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the ultimate reveal is that the mother really is the mother.
Yeah.
There was some kind of accident caused by the one son. We were never told what, but it somehow led to not only the mother's injuries, but the death of the other brother.
Right.
Is that right? So the kids basically just effed up in the head because of this. And all these little hints that make you think the mother wasn't the mother are just what the actual explanation is. Like at one point she's got beauty marks and they rub them off and it's makeup, and you're like, oh
I
shit.
love that part.
But
Yeah.
it turns out like she just was kind of mutilated up in this accident, had to have I guess some kind of plastic surgery. Is that the kind of suggestion?
Yeah.
So she just kind of wanted to feel more like herself. And so the kind of movie ends with her just like on the floor burning alive and him watching her. And then this final scene, which seemed a little ambiguous to me also. I wasn't sure if they were suggesting to me that he was dead.
What I got from it was the son that was still alive died also. And
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the three of them kind of together
Together, right.
after everything had happened.
Sure.
Do you
But it's
mind if
very
I
weird.
give a very psychologized view on this movie.
Nothing would delight me more.
Let's just
All right.
move on to tweets.
Perfect. No one wants to hear me ramble. I'm gonna try my best. With
I
this,
do.
but- Oh, thank you. The first time I saw it, I was very much like, okay, I think I understand what this was. But watching it again, so I love like reading up on serial killers and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like there's that common thread of when they're children, they harm animals and they do things that
Sure.
most of us would never do. And so the end of the movie, we find out that this one died. And so I took it as this other brother did it. It wasn't an accident. It was something that he did. And then all of the other deaths we see as the cat was actually him, but we think it's the mom. And then there's that one part where they go.
I'm convinced the cat was him. It had to be. I mean,
Right.
obviously, yeah. Like,
And then he displayed it, and then there's a part where they go in the woods, and there's all those skeletons everywhere in that cave thing. And for me, like, I'm not gonna say he killed everybody that's in there, or everything that's in there, but
I
it was
assume
just
most of the Austrian countryside is littered with caves filled with skeletons.
probably, yeah. So I just took it as this was like a movie kind of commenting on how a serial killer like kind of starts out, like this kid.
It's super interesting, the idea that maybe he was just effed up from the beginning, because I think you could read it as this accident that was caused was so traumatic that he kind of snaps.
Sure.
But I totally could see it, what you're saying too. They're like, maybe it was just intentional, and this is just him continuing to be a little Austrian psychopath.
Yeah.
And I'll say too, in defense of this versus like an American version, I would say if you want to watch the American version of this, go watch Halloween 2 remake.
Sure.
Because that's
Yeah.
over-explained and really crazy. Whereas this is like a little more subtle. And
Who would be Loomis in this movie? The Red Cross guy?
Oh yeah, totally.
The
Take
cockroaches.
some money.
The cockroaches.
The cockroaches are Loomis.
Spencer, what did you get out of this movie? Kind of once the full reveal was had.
I definitely interpreted it that the kid was so bothered by his mother's inability, that he was obsessed with the idea that his twin was still alive, and he was just so upset by his mom's ability to move on that he convinced himself that she couldn't have been real, because
Interesting.
his real mother knew that she had two sons, which is kind of the game they play at the beginning. I also thought, in terms of like weird psychologizing, that there was a lot of kind of focus on the boy being upset about their mom as like a sexually desirable figure. They're upset.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that. The mom's nude a whole bunch.
Site, yeah, there just seemed to be. I thought there was like weird anxiety about that. Like it's implied that she's dating people. She's left their father. I was expecting more of that to come out, and it really didn't. But that was a thought that I had in the back of my mind as I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of scenes where you're like, I feel like I'm supposed to be getting some kind of symbolism here, but I'm too dumb. like there's got to be some kind of point to all the nudity, right? She's just randomly nude a bunch in this movie.
Oh.
And that's an interesting thought though. But like the part that I was kind of lost about was he's convinced that she's acting different, and I couldn't really kind of parse that out. Is she acting different? Like, why does he?
Yeah, because they don't give you any history,
Right.
like, so from the beginning you kind of have to decide if you're gonna like accept what the boys are saying is true, and
Right.
because you don't have anything to compare it to, and I was a little skeptical of them from the beginning. So,
But then,
Well, did
the
you
one
see
thing
their
that
dumb haircuts.
like completely confused me was there's a scene where the mother walks out into the field, and then just her face like freaks the fuck out.
oh yeah,
That was a dream.
Like, was it? I
Also,
guess
that
it
was
the
like
kid's dream.
maybe the worst effect I've seen in a movie. That was like
It was definitely like a
from a
Korn
Silent
video.
Hill movie,
Talking
basically.
Antichrist.
Corn video.
It was definitely.
Yeah, it totally
you
was.
see some like metal music.
It's
playing.
so weird too, because I don't know, it's just a dumb little thing, but in a movie that's kind of is obviously priding itself on being kind of an art house horror film, right smack dab in the middle of it in this kind of key scare scene, you've just got the most cliched, awful effect you possibly could have
weird.
put there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of stupid things, but I'm obsessed with this. I don't know why I keep coming back to. I want to understand why she ordered all of those frozen pizzas and
Kids
so
love
many
pizza.
of them. I don't know. It's like I couldn't get past it.
See,
I
at
past
that-
it. I feel like there's
at that point in the movie, I thought that there was a weird psychological warfare going on where the kids had done something prior to the movie so fucked up that the mother was really afraid of both of them.
I think that's why I was so skeptical. I thought she was their victim for a
Right.
while.
So I thought that she was literally just kind of pretending that things were normal, but they were secretly running everything behind the scenes. So I was convinced that they just, because if you were a kid, right, and you just had access to your mom's like food account, what would you do? You'd order 100 fucking pizzas. So that was like a weird. I even interpreted that as going into this big overblown conspiracy in my head.
That's not a bad. That's not a bad.
They really make it. I don't think that. I don't know if that's what happened, but they really put a like exclamation point. Like they make you focus on that scene. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean, the
clearly...
other thing that kind of pops in my head is like she does admit at the end that for a while she was kind of, you know, humoring him that he still saw his brothers. So she was like making like 2 meals and she would put out like 2 sets of clothes. So like my only other thought was like, all right, pepperoni pizza was this kid's favorite meal. So fuck it, I'll just order a shitload of them as I'm
Who doesn't love pepperoni pizza, Joe?
Das schmeckt mir sehr gut. That's all I got.
Can we talk about the like really intense stuff, like the stuff that Joe doesn't like?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about,
I want to hear his thoughts.
Obviously, the big climax of the movie is like this torture scene. I mean, before the actual climax, I guess.
Like it all of a sudden escalates pretty quickly. There's a scene where the son super glues her lips shut, and you're not really sure why, other than they, you know, for a while
Isn't
they want
that
her...
after the Red Cross scene? Like, isn't that she gets out of the tape and like she starts screaming? She starts screaming like right after they've walked out of the house, and he just barely avoids getting caught.
Yeah.
And then they run out. That's when the kid runs upstairs and super glues her mouth together.
So they do that, and then at one point, and this is probably like the worst part of it, like he tries to use like a tiny
they're trying to interrogate her again later, and they're like, well, she needs to be able to talk.
He pretty much tries to like open up her, like cut through the glue with scissors and hits like an artery or something.
It's like a little snip, and then she screams, and it's like it just starts
everywhere.
spraying blood.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I closed my eyes like a little baby.
It was really hard to watch. And then I don't know what they were actually doing to her mouth, but they put like this stick in there, and like I don't know what the fuck was going on. But for me, like I really have a lot of trouble watching like the torture-y type stuff in any movie.
Well, torture itself is bad enough, right? But this is like, if not the most taboo, probably pretty high up there of types of torture. It's children, little kids,
to, like, their parent,
10-year-old kid torturing their prone, vulnerable mother. That's pretty terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if it may not, I mean, there's parts of it that are real graphic, but even if it's maybe not as graphic as some other stuff we've seen, it's the setup, and it's the fact that this is a really emotionally disturbing movie without the violence. And so when you bring the violence in, it just like gets to be too much almost at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I should say, like, I don't dislike this movie because of that. Like, any movie, like, I really have a lot of trouble watching that stuff.
It's
like,
just rough. Like, if you were the kind of
really
person that never wanted to watch a Serbian film, like, this isn't that crazy, but it certainly hit kind of the same nerve for me of just icky, like,
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'll add, when I saw it in theaters, a woman in one of the rows ahead of me, when they cut it and the blood came out, she went, "No!" And she got up and walked out. And it was great. So I was really into that.
That's amazing.
It cut some of the tension a little
bit.
But
I would say, like,
watching it again, I was like, oh! So.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about, about this movie?
I can't imagine there's a movie guide.
There should be.
Is there?
No.
Let's check.
I can't imagine there's some, Christian activist watching Australian films.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Austrian films too, Joe.
Yeah.
All right. So, Goodnight Mommy, do we know when this is available? Is this like on demand right now?
Seems like a question you
Oh, God. Where's Mark?
Brought up earlier.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, guys, they have one.
Get out of here, really?
They do.
Holy shit. All right.
Evan?
Yeah.
Go for it, buddy.
Let's see. All right. So, light moral worldview addressing disillusionment, self-deception, and the epistemological questioning of reality, and showing the dangers of creating one's own reality, but from a psychological perspective with no spiritual solution, and movie ends on a hopeless note, plus strong overt
No.
We just lost Evan right in the middle of it. Amazing. Well, in the
slightly behind by the end. 3 obscenities and 1 profanity, strong brutal violence. Woman is tied to a bed with mouth glued shut. Her lips are then cut open with lots of blood. Woman burns alive. In dream sequence, boy cuts open mother's stomach. Boys slapped by their mother. Woman hits her head. A dead cat is put in a fish tank. No sexual content, but some sensuous but bizarre female nudity. Deranged woman
Listen,
undresses.
there's no
and
such
walks
thing as
the
bizarre
woods and
female
gets-
nudity, okay? It's all fine.
I'm pretty sure there was. Didn't like they kind of hear her enjoying herself over the
Yeah,
little
they
speaker?
did actually. They did.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised they didn't pick up on that.
They missed out on that.
Yeah, maybe we should write in.
I'll write in right now. No alcohol, no smoking or drug use, and mother seems to favor one child over another. And father is absent from home.
They always do that. They always put some weirdly random thing in at the end that's like, plus somebody looked at somebody cross.
That's right.
Evan, that was kind of amazing because you dropped out in the middle of it, totally disappeared, and then when you came back, you were just still reading, and you just kept going. It was perfect. Love it. I looked it up here. Goodnight Mommy, DVD and video on demand, December 1st, 2015. So coming up soon here if you want to check that out.
It's definitely still playing in like limited theaters too. I know it's playing around here.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I don't know if people are kind of losing their shit over this movie. I do when I see a movie that has this quality of directing behind it and is trying to do something kind of emotional and artsy. I just have like deep respect for that in the genre. I don't know that I loved it as much as a lot of people are saying. I don't know. Let's just do a roundtable here and wrap it up. Joe, what did you think of this? Would you recommend in a theater if it's playing around them?
I would say watch it. I don't think seeing it in the theater is gonna do anything for you. Like I would wait for the homes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to recommend. Like I don't think this is gonna be for everybody. Yeah.
Evan.
I'll piggyback off of Joe and say that I enjoyed it, but it's also because I'm kind of like a horror fan. I definitely saw it with people that aren't horror fans the first time, and they were all very confused as to what the point of it was.
Yeah, sure.
So
yes. I could listen. That's totally fair. I would definitely not recommend it to any type of normie in your life.
Yeah, and I think it's not even because it's like it's got really grotesque stuff in it. It's almost because it's so slow and such a slow burn that
it's very art housey.
Yeah, you'd have to really be invested, and if you're not into the whole genre and like wanting to delve deeper into the the darkness, quote unquote, it would be kind of a weird experience. But I don't know. I mean, like I don't love it, but I thought it was pretty cool, like you said, and it has some really interesting director choices that. I don't know. I mean, I won't forget it. I can tell you that. And that's something.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm always trying to kind of laud originality. So I definitely have to give it up on that point. What you're saying is don't recommend it to your friend who just watches one Paranormal Activity every year.
Yeah, because they'll be like blown away and they'll never speak to you again, which might be good. I don't know.
Spencer, what did you think?
Yeah, I really liked it overall. I loved in the first hour, especially there were just so many weird little touches, like the cockroaches coming out of her stomach, the cat in the fish tank, the bones in the catacomb. Like it was this movie that was, I think, would have been a little more of a standard art house movie almost without that. That stuff for me, I might be in the minority, like really elevated it a little bit. It was just so weird and strange. The torture at the end lost me a little bit, not because it was so grotesque, but just because it, like when I reached that point of the movie, I just kind of realized it's going to probably not change much from this point out. Like it's kind of easy to just see the end from here. Yeah, I second what Evan said. I wouldn't, use it as an introduction for anyone that wasn't that familiar with horror or even kind of art house horror, but I really liked it. I kind of went up and down throughout and even afterwards, but I did like it.
I mean, I think it's a very interesting movie. I think that if you get the chance to see this in a cinema with like-minded horror fans who are into something artsy, I feel like that could be a really cool experience. Evan, it sounds like I don't know if that's sort of your experience, but like a convention or something, or even just like whatever, the local like art house cinema that's going to play something like this, I would go like that. I think that could be really cool. Watching it at home and you're kind of hanging out and you're reading subtitles. I don't know. Like it's very, very well directed. Maybe a little too European for me. Let's just let's just use that as a catch-all for things that are weird. But I think like if you've seen the trailer, you listen to this, you're into it. I think you already know if you want to watch this or not. And I don't think you're going to be surprised if you feel that way already. So, yeah, I think 4 general thumbs up from BGH. Mark also said he really liked it, but he didn't get it. So I think that's kind of right on track. So with that said, guys, let's take a quick break here and do some fan mail.
Sally, I hear something. Stop!
This is the movie that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Romeo and Juliet and Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, the Troma team likes to kick back and listen to Bloody Good Horror, because Bloody Good Horror is the best television there is.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter @BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back.
Right.
We are back. Mark isn't back, in case you were wondering.
Friggin' Mark.
I think Evan's favorite part of being in the show now is watching me dance to the bumpers that he can't hear.
I love it.
Yeah. I do. It's not a lie. If you're watching the stream, you know
he does dance. It's reason enough to join Patreon.
That's true. It's very true.
So.
info@bloodygoodhorror is the email address. As mentioned earlier, I got on the tweets this week and started pulling some @replies that I thought were funny. A couple about classics. First up, Chase TX. Listening to BGH episode 5. Oh, this is him. Okay. Mark BGH predicted the Bert and Deb remake. So that's Chase. Thumbs up for that. Next up, that Baseball Joe. Listening to @BG Horror Under the Skin app, a.k.a. the Erection episode. That could mean so many things. I do remember the naked, lots of naked peen in that movie.
Well.
Yeah. You know, they're like, remember she's like luring them into the weird, like, pool, like, goop stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's Gojo.
Yeah. I think we were surprised by the lack of erections, is if I say recall.
Well,
there are alarming number of non-erections.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right. What are we even doing here is my point.
Far too many non-erections.
I need some more erections.
Next up, Leah. See Lin Shaye's name rolled during the intro credits for a random movie from 2007 and immediately can't take it seriously. Thanks a lot, BG Horror. You're welcome.
Wonder what movie that was.
The Further, probably. She's in a lot of weird, random shit. I don't know. Her husband, like, runs New Line Cinema, or when that was still a thing, so...
Her character in Kingpin will always make me wet myself every time I watch that movie.
It's classic, Joe. It's classic.
Oh, my little Roy toy.
Next up, Izzy says, if I knew that... Oh, this is a quote from Eric BGH from the My Soul to Take episode. If I knew that dude in school, I'd just assume he went home and fucked his dog. Hashtag,
what character that was.
Hashtag BGH Classics. So
I need to know who that was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, probably the guy... if I had to guess, and not having not listened to it, I'd love for somebody to confirm this, but you have the main character whose name is like Bug or something, and he's the like quiet one who gets bullied, and then he's got the friend with the long hair who has the like crow costume at that one point or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I probably said it about him, but I no idea. Do not know.
All
Again,
I remember from that movie is the super blind kid.
the
who
magical
can
blind
scale
kid,
the
yeah.
side of any building.
But again, this is the fun of people kind of digging up these treasures in old episodes. Next up, longtime fan from Australia, Sammy. She says, finally a patron and can't wait to watch a live feed if I can ever work out the time difference.
Wow.
Thanks for everything you do. XO.
What time it is there now?
That's for you, Joe. Those X's and O's.
I appreciate that.
Next up, Joe says,
Oh.
hello. This is Joe Lind or Mexican Tony, aka. This is your favorite emailer, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Hello again, the BGH. I write in to say you sorry. I know you didn't care for my story from a few weeks ago, and even worse, I lied. I didn't sex E.T. I just wanted you guys to think I was cool and maybe get Dad's approval. I also wanted to apologize to Grumpy Beard character. I used some colored language in my previous email regarding the E.T. character. I also wanted to say I really like being a patron because I get all of the before episodes. I don't really like the voicemail characters, though. Oh, we should talk about voicemail, too, because I have some thoughts. No offense for them, but some are dopey clowns, especially the one who would call in from time to time with the drunken yelling of the swear words. Just kidding, adorable beard character. You are delightful. Does your girlfriend ever dress you as the woodland creatures? I don't know who adorable beard character is.
I imagine it's got to be Mark.
It's got to be Mark, right?
That's Mark, yeah.
I would. Just kidding if you were going to call the police. Anyway, thanks for the podcasting, and I'll keep listening, but no more bother you with the nonsense of me.
Oh.
Tell the Snares character I hope him luck in California with the buying and selling of the illegal people or whatever he likes to do out there. Last thing, word of the day for life. What up, Joe character? Tell me how my ass tastes.
What?
That's a Kobe Bryant Shaq reference. You'll have to Google that. Next up, Hayden. One of my favorite films of all. Okay, so this was an email about hated movies. I found this was interesting, actually. So, one of my favorite films of all is the much maligned and criminally underrated flick David Lynch's Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. The film was booed at Cannes and widely panned by contemporary critics. I understand it doesn't give the answers viewers wanted, as it is a sort of prequel instead of a follow-up, but beyond that, I don't really understand the vitriol. Tarantino even said that this gem, quote, after I saw Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me at Cannes, David Lynch had disappeared so far up his own ass that I have no desire to see another David Lynch movie until I hear something different. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead here. Yeah, he likes it. There is more atmosphere and dread in one scene from the movie than almost anything that has come out recently. Another one of my favorites is the similarly overlooked Bram Stoker's Dracula. I guess I'm won over by atmosphere and mood. Anyways, I was wondering, what are your favorite horror films that everyone seems to hate? So this is the second person recently that has mentioned the possibility that people don't like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
To which I'd have to say, you crazy.
Yeah.
Because that movie's
that-
incredible.
Yeah, I thought it did really well, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the funny thing about the internet, right? Like one day you're reading something and it just blows your whole like worldview open. You know what I mean? And you're just like, wait a second.
It's true.
People don't like Dracula.
It's like the Jack Black thing.
Yeah, I've never seen Fire Walk with Me. Has anyone seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I thought that it had its fans. I thought that there were some critics on the record that like listed it as the best of the decade. And
well, yeah, I mean,
it definitely got booed and panned at the time.
Once the internet came around, though, it's like there's no movie that's not celebrated by some weirdo somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's almost kind of a moot point because like every movie will find its person.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that like I personally don't like it because it's so like out there for Lynch even, then that's already like intimidating enough to say. But it's one of those movies like if you're going to watch the whole series, then maybe you should go watch it, but it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
And it is very much like a vanity project in my opinion.
I mean, I will say like I'd never seen Twin Peaks. It's all on Netflix now, so I went to watch it this summer. The first season is like one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Like start to finish, great story arc, has a real it's surreal, but he keeps it on the tracks. It's got a real clear kind of plan that comes around. I shit you not, the second season lost me in the first 45 seconds. Like the first scene of the second season where he's been shot and he just sits up and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I immediately knew there was something different. And I made it like 4 or 5 episodes in. I just couldn't finish it, dude. The season 2 of Twin Peaks is just nonsense garbage. It is so terrible. So I would like to finish it, but it's to get to the movie, but just not happening for any time soon. I don't know. I almost bought the first season of Twin Peaks on VHS.
I own the entire series on VHS.
It's really cool because it makes this cool kind of scene across all of them.
It
like
does,
the mountains or whatever.
That's part of the appeal.
I bet you it's still at that store. I should go back and buy it now.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, Bram Stoker's Dracula, man. Gary Oldman is so good in that movie.
I love Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
I love Tom Waits in that movie.
Next up, Caitlin. I don't know if you guys end up doing this movie this week or not. She's talking about Goodnight Mommy. I'm so bothered by the fact that this movie does not hide or at least let you not see the ending coming from a mile away from the very beginning. I think the movie that they portrayed in the trailers would have been a much more interesting film, and all the little clues they dropped to try and send you off the track of what is clearly the ending, I did not appreciate whatsoever. When the movie is over and everything has been laid out, things that have to do with the... Okay, I can't read that. We're past spoilers, right? I should get rid of the little graphic here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she also did not like the head shaking thing. It's a gorgeous movie, and I thought the actors were good, but the writing is so subpar and done so many times before better. I don't understand why everyone is losing their shit over this movie. Sorry for the semi-venting. Love your podcast. Thank you. So I was trying to kind of referring to Caitlin's email earlier. Like, I don't necessarily agree with her, but I kind of get it. And I guess this just happens when you get these movies hyped up like this. I don't know. What do you guys think about the idea that it's kind of sold as a bill of goods, that it wasn't?
I'd be interested to hear like what movies she thinks do this better. Not that I'm saying there aren't ones out there.
She may just be referring to like the twisty type nature that it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I and again, we kind of talked about like I kind of saw the twist coming, but there's definitely things that happen at the end that I didn't. It takes some turns that I did not.
I mean,
see
you know what it is? Like, I can't even like hate on the hype because it's a really simple formula. When we see something that is treated like an adult movie with emotionally resonant and intelligent themes as horror fans, we collectively lose our shit, and with good reason, because we put up with crap all the time. So I totally get it. I do think that there's a tendency sometimes to then go in like a little uncritically and just overpraise things that are like that. It's just because a film is trying to be artsy doesn't necessarily mean it succeeds at that. And that's, I guess, my only caution that I might put out there.
Yeah, I think it's hard if you're looking at it from the standpoint of someone who doesn't, like we talked about, like doesn't really get horror at all or whatever. It's probably going to be like, yeah, it was all right, you know?
Right, yeah, and this is, I mean, the conversation we're having too, it's like you have to have done such a deep dive on being a horror fan. That's the only way you would kind of even get what we're talking about right now.
Yeah,
totally. But yeah, any kind of normie would just be like, why does her face look weird?
Yeah, it's really stupid.
Yeah.
Twins are gross.
Well, Evan, I really like your like dumb movie viewer voice. That's
oh my
good.
God, I hated all of it. I was so bored.
That's amazing. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is email address. We're also on Twitter. Joe, you get to do everybody's job tonight. What do we got going on Twitter?
So I think we didn't read this one last time. I'm trying to make sure we're picking up. But Hoop Crow Kruger, have you seen The Canal? I haven't heard anyone talk about it. I thought it was pretty awesome.
That sounds like something that was on a list at some point.
Yeah,
I actually reviewed it for the site.
Did you like it?
Do tell.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was, I mean, actually, it wasn't that different from this movie. It did it was directed really well. I think I gave it like a 7 or something, but it was pretty like predictable and standard. But I thought for the attention it gave, it was pretty good. To like, you know, it's better than a lot of like direct-to-video horror movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Next up from our friend RJNC. Are you guys going to play Hearthstone on the stream? I remember you guys talking about it on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this was directed to John and Mark, who were both not here.
I was talking. Yeah, I think I was talking about streaming too. Yeah. Yes, sure. It's a great idea.
All right. So
I've had a lot of weird life stuff happening to me, Joe. Trying to get my shit together over here. But we actually, we were going to mention it before Mark bailed on us, but we are in the planning stages of the new kind of video show we're going to launch. So if we're going to do more game streaming, it'll be separate from that, but we are kind of prepping more video content as we speak. So making shit happen, Joe.
All right. Next up, we got two from our new friend, Little Frank, who I think you said is Izzy. When will the next Spooktacular be?
It's a good question. We were gonna do one for the fall, which I guess technically still is.
Just about over.
Yeah, maybe when we can get everybody in the same room, we can start planning one. But I'm down.
Yeah, but I
Let's
think
do it.
we even talked about the next movie, so I think we've soon.
Maybe
figure that
we
out
could
soon.
probably try to squeeze one in before the end of the year. I think that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Sure.
Spooktacular.
And then one other from Little Frank. Doesn't Fetty Wap, who I have no idea who this person is, but doesn't Fetty Wap look like the hood version of the priestess from the Green Inferno?
Yeah. First of all, I don't know. Fetty Wap
How do
is
you
a
spell
rapper. I'm
Fetty
pretty
Wap?
sure.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Is an American rapper and songwriter from Paterson, New Jersey.
Patterson, beautiful land. Don't ever go there. I'm gonna say everybody knows that Julia Louis-Dreyfus looks exactly like the priestess from Green Inferno.
You know what? I guess I could kind of see it. It's got like a creepy smile. I'll put it in the chat here in the video.
Oh.
Some weird eyes, creepy smile.
He's got Oh, he did
But-
send in a picture as
But
well.
literally though, Joe, like it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus all
Absolutely.
the way. I kind of can't believe nobody's made that image macro yet. I think we should get on that.
Next up from Blood Feast Pod. I loved Goodnight Mommy. Are there any other movies with twists that you still enjoy after the first viewing?
I'll tell you what, I fucking hate knowing that movies have twists before I see them.
Yeah.
Because I just obsess over it the whole movie.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it just makes it so much easier to see it coming.
Yeah.
So I still couldn't see it coming, but I was looking for it. Like everything that happened, I was just looking for the twist.
I
I don't know.
know.
What are some good twisty movies?
Any
Joe?
other Usual Suspects? That's a good movie.
I still like Gone Girl, even though like I know all that.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. The original Saw, hell of a twist.
True.
I literally remember standing up in the theater and being like, "Shut up." He was alive the whole time. Twist. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Twist.
You know what movie like The Sixth Sense is obviously the one everyone talks about.
Yeah.
That movie has not held up for me. I actually think some of his other movies have held up a little more. But like, I don't know. It's just like it almost now when I go back seems so obvious that it's obnoxious.
I don't think I've seen that movie since I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Like I enjoyed it. Like I liked it when I saw it, but after I saw it and you see how it ends, like I didn't really have a giant desire to go back and watch it again.
It's funny that you mentioned M. Night Shyamalan because this isn't really a great movie, but what came to mind for me was The Visit, which is, I did see that
Great
twist
twist.
coming just a little bit ahead, but I couldn't wait for it. Like, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't mad, like, oh, God, I guessed it. I could not wait to see the reveal.
Another
for
twist,
that.
had no idea.
I'm sorry. I loved The Visit. Just
Yeah, it's good.
I
No, The
really like,
Visit-
yeah, I mean,
no,
I'm on the record on the site. Yeah,
I
liked
believe
it.
I believe we gave it a pleasurable review. You know what? I think if I'm really like my favorite twist in the like of all the movies we've ever done for the show is got to be The Last Exorcism. And it's more just a big reveal at the end, but man, like it just leaves you with this great final image that's got like awesomely foreshadowed. That movie really. That was 2009 of all the movies we've done, and I was saying I like to really revisit like top 10 stuff like the next year for Halloween. That I probably watched that movie more times than since the show than any other movie we've done for the podcast.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, I forgot all about that one.
Joe, that was an Eric Joe date.
That was.
Remember
that's right. We did see that in the theater.
We saw it
together.
in Boston. We had Panera beforehand.
That's right. It was
Ooh.
delicious.
Yeah.
Soup and salad. All right. Next up at Lowell_Ant is, and I think this is a comment because he's watching the feed, is sticking it in the bullet wound, what the kids are calling it these days.
That was the old Jack Bauer move. Is like whenever we needed to get information out of somebody, he'd like shoot him in the arm and then get right up in their face and like jam his thumb into it and like scream in their face. In retrospect, I don't know why I enjoyed that show as much as I did, but yeah, Jack Bauer.
Two more here. At Spongy Man Dan, any favorite surrealist films?
Would Hour of the Wolf count?
Yeah, that's actually the one that kind of popped in my head. Like I really enjoyed that.
I don't know. Spencer seems like the kind of person that would know what that actually means.
Yeah.
God. I mean, we were just talking about David Lynch. I really liked Inland Empire. I don't know if other people liked that movie.
I haven't seen a lot of Lynch, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I googled
saw-
surrealist films, and it's one of the ones that popped up. So yeah, I'd
Would
go with
Fear
that.
and Loathing count?
I don't know.
Or is
I don't
that
see it on
more?
the list. Santa Sangri's on
I
there.
don't see it on the list. I don't know.
Still scrolling though.
Yeah.
Oh, Delicatessen. We watched that.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
I watched like the original surrealist movie. I'm gonna butcher the name, L'Age d'Or, The Golden Age.
Oh.
That was all right. I haven't seen the one where the eyeball gets, or maybe that is the one where the eyeball gets cut open. It's from the 20s. It was pretty, yeah.
You know, I don't know if it falls in the category, but I have Haxan on DVD. That was like this 20s witch movie. It's like there's a subtitle to it, but I hear it's like one of the strangest, creepiest movies ever made. And I need to watch it. Would love
She
to...
Low is the one where, yeah.
What's that?
Oh, I just said because I'm sure someone is gonna like hate tweet at it. Shian Andalou is the one where the eyeball gets cut.
Oh yeah, number 3 on IMDb.
Listen, you are expecting way too much of our listeners.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add, when I looked up Last Exorcism, I'm pretty sure that's the first horror movie that Sophie and I ever saw together in Louisiana. So
nice, Louisiana, huh?
Yeah,
All these little dates going on.
It was either that or Paranormal. I think it was Last Exorcism.
I had no idea you guys were in Louisiana.
Yeah, we worked in New Orleans together.
Wow.
That's how I met Sophie. Yeah.
Man, are you not from New Orleans, right?
No.
So if I tell you that I spent 7 days there and it was like a living hell, that I wouldn't offend you?
No, it wouldn't offend me. Yeah.
It's a literal garbage city, and I know we joke and say that about like Jersey, but there's literally garbage and filth everywhere.
Yeah, I love New Orleans, but I mean that's
cockroaches.
Part of it. It's
and
because
rats and...
tourists. I mean, I'm gonna say that it's the tourists' fault because they forget that people live there. So like, you literally will be walking around with your friends at 11 o'clock at night, and people are just dropping bottles in the street in front of you because they fucking think that nobody. Sorry.
So yeah, so it's like you have the gross touristy area, but then if you go out to the actual city, it just becomes like the worst urban sprawl kind of thing ever, where like it's impossible to get anywhere, and if you try to walk, you'll get murdered. It's just like,
yeah.
I was not a fan.
I mean, New Orleans itself is really compact, but it's surrounded by a lot of like suburbs. Yeah, that's cool. We'll agree to disagree on New Orleans. We'll have this debate again when Sophie's here.
Luckily, it's my show, so I'll just agree to agree with myself.
Oh snaps!
Boom.
Word is born. All right. Last one from BC Likes You. Yo, Eric, Big Lots. My man.
Yeah.
I love that
Oh,
place.
okay. He was listening to the stream beforehand. Yeah, I was having mic problems, and when they asked why, it was because I have a $1 4-way USB hub that I bought there that is just it's a piece of shit, and I have to like unplug it every day to make it work. It would probably if I spent $4, I could probably buy a killer one and not have any problems, but why would I do that?
Yeah.
It was $1.
Do you remember a while ago where there was that like picture of you doing a thumbs up and people were like putting it in
Green
front
screen,
of other
yeah.
green screening it? Someone should green screen you in front of a Big Lots.
Nice. That's pretty good.
That would be great.
Big Lots, Ocean State Job Lot is one we get out here.
Ooh.
And there's just one that I've only seen in Boston called Five Below, which is like it's like in between a dollar store and a Big Lots basically, but everything is under $5.
I think that's nationwide. Like,
yeah, I think it's a chain, but this is the only place I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Those stores are great. Like, just don't buy the food there. You always see people buying canned goods and stuff, and you're like, dude, I don't.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah, right. Or it's just some weird random knockoff brand. No thanks.
True.
All right. That's it for tweets.
Big Lots.
How do they work?
Twitter at BG Horror with the hashtag AskBGH. Joe.
Please don't ask me what we're doing next week. I got no idea. I don't think there's a theater release, so we gotta figure that out.
We probably have a list and stuff.
Fucking John.
Why don't you get into the list, Joe, and just slip Chipwrecked into there? Or no, what is it?
Yeah.
The road chip.
Oh, the road chip.
No.
Yes, love it. You should check out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Find out how you can get in and all the goods, including, at some level, you just get sent t-shirts and coasters and shit, which is kind of cool. So you can stream all the back episodes. You can do it right from your phone. I can attest to that. If I'm able to make it work, so can you. And check out all the cool content that Mark has got going over at bloodygoodhorror.com, including from these two wonderful gentlemen, Evan and Spencer. Guys, I think we made it okay without Mark.
I think we did.
Without Mark and Schnorrs, that's a little rough on the heart, but I think we made it.
Scary.
Yeah.
We should. Casey. We missed Casey.
Between the two of them, they're like our compass. You know? It's like...
Eric's not going to address that.
Yeah. Casey is like an elemental. Like, Casey can just breeze into town, do his thing, and leave. Whereas Schnorrs is like a rock.
When was the last time Schnorrs was on a show?
He was here last week.
Yeah, last week.
But then it was like 3 months before that, so...
Yeah. I think last week was the first time in a while.
Let's not get into how he's been toying with my emotions, okay?
Yeah,
that's true.
All right, guys, we're not sure what we're doing next week, but if you stay tuned to Twitter at BG Horror, you will definitely hear that information. And finally, don't forget, if you're going through back episodes, hashtag BGH Classics. Tweet us at your favorite random dumb things and memories and jokes from the old shows. We'd love to hear it. That's going to do it, fellas and ladies, for this week. Hope you enjoy the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
No, this is going to be a disaster.
Spencer, you should say goodbye now.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
You go now, Evan.
See ya.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.